Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the big show. We are now one day away from the hearings on Benghazi, where, well, if you listen to John Bolton yesterday, he told us that it could bring down the administration. Lindsey Graham said something similar today, not on my show, but he said something similar nonetheless. And we'll talk more about Benghazi in the next hour with Judith Miller and others. But I want to start with this amazing story that broke last night out of Cleveland. And it's funny. I was driving in yesterday listening to Geraldo, and he had Dennis Kucinich on, who used to be the mayor of Cleveland in addition to being an former Ohio congressman. And they were just touting the virtues of Cleveland. And then coincidentally, of course, lo and behold, last night, the big news breaks out of Cleveland. And it wasn't the Cavaliers, and it wasn't the Indians, and it wasn't, whoever else plays there. Anyway, Amanda Berry, who was taken 10 years ago, along with two other women, Gina DeJesus and Michelle Knight. They all went missing between the year 2000 and 2004 in separate incidents. All were between the ages of 14 and 20 when they vanished, and all were found alive and well yesterday after Amanda Berry escaped, called 911. After she got out of the house first with the help of a passerby. We'll hear from him in a second. It's a piece of work. And then, of course, they called the police. Amanda Berry apparently has had a child with one of her captors, which is, I won't describe it. I'll leave it for her to describe. But I want you to hear, and this is one of those rare cases. I've spoken to so many parents, and you've heard from so many parents over the years of parents of victims who have never been found or who have been found dead, and just horrific stories. And this one has a very happy ending, although as happy an ending as you could have, considering your loved one was held captive probably like down the street for 10 years or 8 years or 7 years, depending on the person we're talking about. But listen to the 911 call. This is after a passerby, Charles Ramsey, he heard screams. Amanda Berry was calling, help me, help me. And she apparently was alone in the house with the other two girls who were tied up. She escaped from being tied up, couldn't get out the door, so the guy helped her. But here's when she got out of the house. Here's the call to 911, cut 49.
911 call of one of those women, Amanda Berry. She went missing 10 years ago when she was about to turn 17. This is her call to Cleveland police.
Cleveland 911.
Hello, please. Help me, I'm Amanda.
No. Keep it going. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay, I'm on the way right now.
We're going to send them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now before we get back.
All right, we're sending them, okay?
Okay, I mean, like,
who's the guy? Who's the guy you're, who's the guy who went out?
His name.
All right, how old is he?
He's like 52.
All right, and
Steven, I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news for the last 10 years.
Okay, I got that here. I already. And you said, what was his name again? And is he white, black, or Hispanic?
I'm Hispanic.
What's he wearing?
I don't know, because he's not here right now. That's
when
why
he
I got away.
When he left, what was he wearing?
Sweetheart, it's a pity. What?
Right, the police are on the way. Talk to them when they get there. Okay?
I
told you they're on the way. Talk to them when they get there, okay?
All right, okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, the police are on the way. Talk to them when they get there. And you heard a youngster crying in the background. They believe that that's Amanda Berry's daughter. Here's the rest of it, cut number 50.
Okay.
Okay, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay, I'm on the way right now.
We're going to send them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now before we get back.
All right, we're sending them, okay?
Okay, I mean, like,
who's the guy? Who's the guy you're who's the guy who went out?
His name.
All right, how old is he?
He's like 52.
All right, and
Steven, I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news for the last 10 years.
okay, I got that here. I already.
Regina.
And you said what was his name again? And is he white, black, or
I'm
Hispanic?
Hispanic.
And what's he wearing?
I don't know because he's not here right now. That's
When
why
he
I
left,
got away.
when he left, what was
Wait
he
a
wearing?
minute. We've heard this already. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's dump out of it. We heard this already. I thought there were two separate cuts, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. But let's move on to Charles Ramsey, who was the man who heeded her calls for help, came running, and helped her get out of the house, and then took her in and let her call 911 from his house. Here's cut number 44.
You heard screaming.
Heard screaming. I meet my McDonald's. I come outside. I see this girl going nuts trying to get out of her house. So I go on the porch.
Okay.
I go on the porch, and she says, "Help me get out. I've been in here a long time." So, you know, I figured it's a domestic violence dispute. So I open the door, and we can't get in that way because how the door is, it's so much that a body can't fit through, only your hand. So we kick the bottom, and she comes out with the little girl, and she says, "Call 911. My name is Amanda Berry."
Okay, and then it dawned on him what was going on and who she was. Cut number 45.
When she told me, it didn't register until I got the call in 911, and I'm like, I'm calling the 911 for Amanda Berry. I thought this girl was dead. You know what I mean? And she got on the phone, and she said, "Yes, this is me." And the detective, Cook, right here, Detective Gregory Cook says, "Charles, do you know who you rescued?"
And here's cut 46.
About 5 minutes after the police got here, see, the girl Amanda told the police, "I ain't just the only ones. It's some more girls up in that house." So they went up there, you know, 30, 40 deep, and when they came out was just astonishing because I thought they were going to come up with nothing. I figured, I mean, whoever she was, and like I say, my neighbor, you got some big testicles to pull this off, bro, because we see this dude every day. I mean, every day.
How long have you lived here?
I've been here a year.
Okay.
You see where I'm coming from?
Right.
I barbecue with this dude. We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And you had no indication that there was
Not
anything
a,
going on?
bro, not a clue that girl was in that house or anybody else was in there against their will, because how he is he just comes out to his backyard, plays with the dogs, tinker with his cars and motorcycles, goes back in the house. So he's somebody that you look away because he's not doing nothing but the average stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't nothing exciting about him. Well, until the day.
I'm telling you, this man is a hero, and he's animated, and he's got personality, and I'm surprised he wasn't on all the morning shows already. But look for him probably to be there tomorrow. And he's probably describing, although I don't know for sure, 3 brothers were arrested. The main quote-unquote suspect, I would assume, is the former school bus driver, Ariel Castro, who's 52. That was the age given by Amanda Berry to the 911 operator when she asked how old is he. His 2 brothers, Pedro, 54, and O'Neill, 50, are the other 2 men under arrest. And here's the final cut from Charles Ramsey, cut 47.
Bro, I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Charles, thank you very much.
Dead giveaway.
Thank you very much for your time. And
Either she homeless or she got problems. That's the only reason why she run to a black man.
Well, all right, you know, take that for what it's worth also. That's all part of his personality. I don't think he means anything racist by it, but what do I know? Anyway, this story will be talked about, but I got to tell you, this story will not overshadow Benghazi. This story will not overshadow Benghazi today, tomorrow, or the day after, because the story that everybody in this country should be focused on and was focused on prior to this story is Benghazi, and we're going to keep our focus. When we come back, though, we will continue. We're going to speak to our buddy, Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, America's psychologist, to talk about the girls, the women, the young women now who were saved, rescued, what lies ahead for them, what it must have been like for them to be captive for 10 years, and what kind of men do such a thing to women. Are they psychopaths? Are they, you know, sex sadists? Whatever classification they have. We'll talk to him. Coming up later in the show, later in the hour, we'll turn to immigration with Clara Del Villar, founder and CEO of Hispanic Post. She joins us at the bottom of the hour. Judy Miller, as I mentioned, will join us in the next hour, along with Roger Stone, political consultant and all-around nice, fun guy. And then we'll have Senator from North Dakota, John Hoeven, will join us. And Dr. Jason Johnson and I go one-on-one to talk about Clarence Thomas's remark that he always knew there'd be a black president, but it had to be one approved by the media elite. That's going to be fun. That's later in the show. So stay with us the whole way, whether you're watching at Newsmax.com or listening on America's Talk Channel on XM Radio. This is and will be the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs.
Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. In the first segment, we talked about the miraculous discovery and rescue of those 3 girls in Cleveland. And now joining us to talk about what happens now is our friend Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, America's psychologist, joining us. Hey, Doc, how are you, sir?
Steve, how are you doing?
Good, good. Saw you on CNN, looking good. And
thank you, brother.
Pleasure to speak to you. Okay, so I think, we're not going to disagree or agree on probably anything here because you're the expert, and I want to find out from you. All right, so first of all, let's start with, maybe we're working backwards, but let's start with what these girls are now facing. And let's start with Amanda Berry, who apparently has a child. But in general, what are all 3 of these women who have been held for so long, now they see literally the light of day and reunite with their families? In one case, one of the girls' mothers died, they say, of a broken heart. So what are these girls up against?
Well, it's the reintegration back into society that's going to be the toughest thing for them. Of course, living in that house of horrors, they were already suffering emotionally, having their issues with PTSD, depression, anxiety, feeling certainly not enough reality testing going on in there to know what the real world was about. So it is about making the transition from that microcosm out into the macro and dealing with the mom who died and dealing with relatives that they haven't seen in years, and the fact that their childhood was interrupted at a very critical time. Can you imagine, Steve? Those were the years, 14, 16, 19 years old, where you're going to proms, where you're starting college, but instead they were living in this house of horrors, and now they have to be able to reacclimate back into the world, carrying all of those emotional scars.
Now, we don't know what happened, but let me ask you maybe a stupid question. These girls, I would assume they probably knew where they were living. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume they knew that they were close to home. I mean, not far, not in a deserted wooden cabin somewhere, 100 miles away. Did that make it all the much worse for them, knowing that right outside basically were their loved ones and familiar grounds?
You're the first person who's asked that question and actually pondered it out loud, and I think it's an excellent point because does it become more tortuous when you, in fact, know that you're so close to home, so close to escape, but yet it is so far? So I guess the bottom line is if they knew that, then I think that made that torture they were going through exponentially worse.
How does and thank you. That's why they pay me the big bucks is what I'm supposed to say. But I won't go there. Let me ask you about Amanda Berry. Having a child, obviously she loves that little girl if it's hers through one of the men, which we assume it is, because she made sure that she was with her and that she got out and all that. What's the conflict? I mean, does she ever? How does in those situations, or in a situation of rape when you have a child, how do most women look at that child?
Well, initially it's extremely difficult, of course, because when you look at that child, in many ways you're looking at the face of the person who raped you. But this is, I think, a testament to the human spirit that we hold on to our own. And despite those feelings of that dichotomy that this is how this little girl came into the world, I think as most rape victims, they really do understand that the child is innocent and therefore is as much a victim as mom is in this particular case. And I think this is what keeps them so close together. Now, that being said, knowing that there are genetic behaviors, I think there'll always be a concern from this mom that hopefully some sort of, pathological gene is not passed down to her child. But we do know that you don't inherit these behaviors. You're at risk for them, and therefore she will be extra careful to make sure that this child has as much stability as possible so that she never engages in any kind of inappropriate behavior in that
Well,
way.
Doctor,
so I know she's going to be a great mom.
You
and
read
the
my
kid's gonna
mind.
Be great.
I'm sorry. You read my mind. We have 2 minutes left, and I wanted to go to these men. And again, we don't know the extent to which the other brothers were involved. We have no idea. But let's focus on, let's say, the bus driver. What kind of person does this? Is this a sexual sadist? Is this a psychopath? I mean, how do you? What kind of terms do you use to describe what this man has done, or what this man is? Yeah.
Yes, well, this guy definitely is a sexual sadist. That is for sure. Brought in his brothers to be accomplices as far as this sadism, but certainly he is what we deem a pure and total psychopath. And see, very quickly, people in the neighborhood are saying, well, this guy was a little bit charismatic, hanging out, doing barbecues. And I think this is more of a testament that you can be so damn twisted and yet still be out there trying to portray yourself as an average guy. It's almost spitting in the face of your victims to do something so crazy.
I mean, we heard from the guy who rescued Amanda that he barbecued with the guy. He hung out with the guy. They listened to music together. I mean, wow, you got to be. I don't even know what you got to be. I guess a psychopath, right?
Well, he is a psychopath. He, in his own head, he probably feels that he has morals, that he can interact with people, that he didn't kill his victims. Therefore, he's an okay guy. And I bet you dollars to donuts, Steve, he's tried to convince himself that what he did was absolutely okay.
Right.
He probably saved them from a life of poverty or hardship.
Right. They were better off. They were better off with him. Right. Doc, I gotta go. But listen, thank you as always, my friend. We'll speak to you soon.
All right, Steve. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, America's psychologist, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to turn to immigration. That bill is supposed to come up on Thursday. What is the future? What is the outlook? And how much of a part will right-wing conservatives have in stopping the immigration reform? On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. This week, in addition to the Benghazi hearings and everything else that's going on, immigration reform takes center stage later in the week. And joining us now to talk about that is Clara Del Villar, founder and CEO of the Hispanic Post, who I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of weeks ago. And Clara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here
today. Well, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about this. You know, the Heritage Foundation did a study and found that the mass legalization that the bill would bring forth would cost $6.3 trillion. You know, it's been disputed by others. Where do you think we're headed? And, you know, you hear so much debate. There will be amendments allowed. There won't be amendments allowed. Even Marco Rubio says we need amendments allowed. The Democrats seem to think we don't. So let's focus on the Senate, because I don't know where it's going in the House. But is this going to pass the Senate?
Well, I believe it will pass the Senate. I think it has a very, very good chance because I think that the bipartisan Gang of Eight has been working their colleagues very hard. Clearly, I think they're looking for something positive to happen. I thought Senator Rubio's comments that the House is where the difficulty is a realistic view.
Yeah, he also you know, talked about the need to make some modifications and allow debate for it to pass in the Senate. Let me ask you, why is immigration reform important to get done in your view?
Well, I think Steve, certainly, you know, we can touch on the Hispanic issue and the Hispanic demographic voting power that has become very evident. But pragmatically, I think that this has been an issue that's been hanging over the country for decades and decades. The first wave of illegal immigrants started coming into the country in the late 80s, 90s, and I think that it's time the United States really established some type of law that addresses this issue. Secondly, I think that I am in the camp that believes that actual passage of an immigration policy will be a net benefit to the country economically. Studies have shown from past immigration waves that you do see economic wages do increase once the legalization process is enacted. I also would say, on the other hand, I actually am very skeptical that many of the undocumented workers will actually stay in the country necessarily over the 12 years. That's why I'm a skeptic of the Heritage study here. Who says that in 12 years Mexico might not prove to be a much more economically viable alternative for the folks that are here?
Well, I mean, I could take issue with and argue the other side of that. I don't see Mexico doing anything but sinking rapidly. I mean, you can't even go to Cancun or any of the vacation spots anymore. It's getting worse and worse and worse, not better. And there's no sign that it's getting better with the gangs and the drugs and the guns and the murders. I mean, and what gets me is
I'm not arguing with you, yeah.
And what gets me is, you know what Mexico does to immigrants who come into their southern border, you know, and yet Mexico's government takes us to task for the horrific way that we treat the illegals who come in to this country. I just got to say, to me, here's the mistake. First of all of these people, and the bill calls for the whole immediate family. Anybody who's here, bring your immediate families eventually too. So we're talking about tens of millions of more people coming into this country, and they're all going to vote Democrat. That goes without saying. And the Republican Party, no matter how far they bend on this, as soon as it's done, the Democrats are going to say, well, we could have gotten this and this and this, but the evil Republicans said no. So the Republicans will still be viewed by those who view them as the impediment to this now, will still be viewed by those in the Hispanic community as the bad guys. So the Republican Party not only won't gain, the Republican Party will ultimately lose, because these Mexicans who come in, I believe, are going to vote Democratic. So let's talk about those two issues first off the bat.
Yes, I think, well, first of all, you certainly raise a point, again, an important point that I'm not going to argue with you. By that I mean 75% of Hispanics did vote, Steve, for Obama. I think that the Republicans have a lot of work to gain back those votes from the community in general. I also think that Republicans are not being clear to the public in terms of pointing out that I don't think the Democrats want comprehensive reform either. Certainly the AFL-CIO didn't show a lot of willingness to bend until they were hit over the head by the U.S. Chamber to allow 200,000 guest worker passes a year. So what I'm saying is that the Democrats are not necessarily showing all their cards. I don't think they want comprehensive reform either. So I think this is a poker game between the parties. You are correct. The Republicans are being watched more closely on this issue because there are some loud, abrasive voices, discussing it and being highlighted by the media. But I actually think both sides of the aisle have a lot of concern. The Democrats for low-cost wage earners here, and the Republicans, they should also present their case. I think that, look, this is an illegal action. It should be dealt with in a careful and prolonged way. So it's not an easy issue, I think.
We're talking to Clara Del Villar, founder and CEO of the Hispanic Post, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. See, I don't see why this should be undertaken at all. You can't tell me that the Hispanic vote went from George W. Bush, the amount he had, down to where we were with Romney because of immigration reform. I think the fact of the matter is, as the polls showed, when they were polled, the Pew Hispanic Research Center did a poll on the after the 2012 election when they left the voting booths, and immigration ranked fourth or fifth. For the Hispanic concerns. Hispanic concerns are the same concerns as everybody else. And by the way, not that I generalize like the media does, but in general terms, the Hispanic community believes in good education in charter schools, and believes in sanctity of marriage, and believes in tradition and jobs and education. The same values that conservatives and Republicans hold. Immigration is not their main concern, especially if they're here legally. It's not their main concern. So I don't have any idea when immigration ranks so low on the concerns not only of Hispanics but of ordinary Americans, why on earth this has to be done now. The Republicans feel they have to do something. I think they're being hoodwinked, and they're going to suffer no matter what they do or don't do, and they should just say, hey, we have more important issues to talk about in this country, like getting people back to work, letting more high-tech workers come in, letting more low-level workers come in. We don't have jobs for people now that are here.
We don't have jobs for people now, I think, for a whole host of reasons. I think that the bank lending is terrible. I think the regulatory environment has been the most restricted ever.
But how will bringing more tens of millions of more people into the picture fix it?
Well, I think that they're already here. So Steve, they've actually stopped the illegal immigration wave has stopped and at the border. But my point to you is that those folks have been here.
Not for security reasons, it hasn't stopped.
Pardon me?
It hasn't stopped because of good security. If it stopped, it's because fewer want to come over here.
Fewer want to come over, and there is
which
better,
is good.
There is better, and I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that. I think that there is better border security. Certainly, Arizona is a key state that has seen a significant drop, and that issue has been addressed to some degree in terms of the wave of immigration. But I think that at this stage, the ball has begun. You're absolutely right that if you poll the Hispanics that are in this country right now, they'll say that economy and jobs is number one, and understanding health care issues is number two in terms of control, in terms of interest. But the ball has been begun, and I think that Rubio taking the lead on this should be very straightforward with the public, saying he's doing what he can do. Republicans are doing what they can do once the ball has started moving, and also make sure that the other sides, that the Democrats' issues are as highlighted as the Republicans are.
The problem is the media will never do that. The media will always blame, and really, as we discussed a little bit when we all met, unless we get a presidential candidate, I mean, statewide everybody's doing okay Republican-wise, but if we don't get a presidential candidate who has new advisors and a new outlook and realizes that they're up against not only their opposition, but that their opposition is the media every day, every move, every question, then I don't see a Republican winning if they don't wake up.
I think that there might be some interesting announcements in the very near future that'll show some dynamic people at the RNC addressing this issue. I think the Republicans are way behind connecting with the Hispanic community using telenovelas, the same type of media platforms that Univision, Telemundo use to really take a strong stand in Hispanic households. Republicans should use those same platforms to communicate our views to Hispanic households. We don't do that. We don't use social media. Hispanics use social media and mobile devices at a rate higher than the average U.S. population.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Absolutely. Yeah. They communicate constantly with their families, and they communicate constantly online. Again, social media and using mobile tools. I can guarantee you that the Democrats have a policy that's starting now to communicate to the Hispanic community in partnership with Univision and Telemundo, explaining why Obamacare is a fantastic security insurance for Hispanics to win over the vote. We don't do those things. And unless we learn how to communicate to this country's Hispanic community, I don't think they'll be able to understand our message in the way that they should.
We also don't, not to necessarily target it to the Hispanic community, but to the entire country, which would, I think, disproportionately affect Hispanic women and black women. If they would have pointed out how radical Obama's policies are on abortion and right to life as compared to Republicans. Instead, Republicans are painted as the villains, a war on women, and they shut up and they take it and they don't say anything.
And we don't communicate. So I'm on a campaign. My Hispanic Post is a small pebble in the ocean, but I'm really taking the campaign much more broadly, Steve, to really say we need to communicate better.
Well, I'm with
these
you.
Groups.
Now, tell us how we could get the Hispanic Post and find out more about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. The Hispanic Post is www.hispanicpost.com. We've just gone through a major configuration. It is aggregated content on Hispanic news, video, information, and business ideas. But we're really launching we're launching a telenovela initiative online. By that I mean explaining issues like this one, immigration or Affordable Health Care Act, how it hurts business growth and development, those type of things. And we're going to really use a series of stories that outline a Hispanic family and all the issues they go through and challenges, growing a business, raising a family, taking their kids to school. So stay tuned.
And you have to realize, and I know you do, and this is more my point, that social media is great, but you know that if the media were to focus on that Hispanic family used in the ad, they'd call them sellouts, they'd call them not really Hispanic enough. So that's what I mean when I say that you have to realize we're in a war with the mainstream media. Hey, listen, a pleasure talking to you. We'll have you back soon, Clara. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Best.
That's Clara Del Villar, ladies and gentlemen, founder and CEO of the Hispanic Post. It's HispanicPost.com. Check it out. And well, I got to be perfectly honest. I hope this immigration reform, as it is currently construed, fails. I hope that John Boehner in the House, if it gets past the Senate, unless there's several amendments added on, that really fixes it, because it's not, 880 pages, a cost of trillions of dollars. If it's not $6 trillion, it's still trillions. Many, 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 many tens of millions of more people welcomed into this country when we don't have jobs for the people who are here now. And all of them will be Democrats eventually. I mean, are the Republicans looking to commit suicide? Is that what they're trying to do? Because that's what it'll do. So that's my opinion. All right, folks, when we come back, the slur against the governor of South Carolina. We have more on that, when she was told by the outgoing head of the Democratic Party in that state to go back to wherever the hell she came from. We'll have his explanation. We'll have some of the media coverage. All that when we return on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
A tragic fire, a break-in, a fall. Look, accidents and emergencies really do happen. The difference between life and death could be as simple as the push of a button. That's where Medical Guardian comes in. Are you afraid that something tragic may happen with no one around to help? What if you or your elderly loved one had a fall and lay for hours or even days before any help arrived? What if it was just too late? You don't have to live in fear that something terrible could happen. It's time you discovered Medical Guardian. Life-saving help at the push of a button. Get the peace of mind you need for yourself and your loved ones. Call 800-550-3470 right now. Be one of the first 100 callers and get your first month of Medical Guardian free. 800-550-3470. Call now and get your first month for free. The help you need is at your fingertips. Ensure your safety today with Medical Guardian. 800-550-3470. That's 800-550-3470.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE. The
new voice of talk radio is here. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call the show at 855-777-9660. Here is Steve.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will try to get to all that brouhaha about the remarks made by the outgoing chair of the state Democratic Party in South Carolina about Governor Nikki Haley. But before we do that, let's go to who's on the phone? I'm sorry, Greg. And where is that? Western New York. Wow, all the way. That's far away from here, Greg. How are you, my friend?
Good, good. How are you doing? I've been listening there. I actually want to get in with talking with that guest, but I couldn't get in. But anyway, I just wanted to say, if it was 3,000 or 4,000 illegals, it would be one thing. But you're talking 11, 12 million plus all their families coming in. It's a huge, substantial issue. And a caveat to that is when all the Muslims in this country start having havoc and having rioting and everything else, what is that? 10 million, 20 million Muslims, when they want Sharia law, are we going to bend to them too? This is an illegal action, having these folks on our land. They came in there illegally, but yet now we're making a road for citizenship. And this really burns my rear end that we're just catering to these folks. What's the next group, Steve?
Well, look, I am with you. To me, they are illegal. As a matter of fact, the president slipped up the other day, and I think this might have been in Mexico. Give a listen. Well, let's listen to cut six. Cut number 6. This is President Obama when he was still in Mexico, okay? And give a listen to what he said.
In Mexico, I also talked about immigration reform, because that's an important issue that affects both our countries. The truth is, right now, our border with Mexico is more secure than it's been in years. We've put more boots on that border than at any time in our history. And illegal crossings are down by nearly 80% from their peak in 2000. But we've got more to do. Not just to secure the border, but to fix an immigration system that is badly broken.
All right, that was actually his address, his weekly address this past weekend. And then he said this, cut 7.
In recent weeks, we've seen a common-sense immigration reform bill introduced in the Senate. This bill is a compromise, which means that nobody got everything they wanted, including me. But it's largely consistent with the principles I've laid out from the beginning. It would continue to strengthen security at our borders and hold employers more accountable if they knowingly hire undocumented workers. It would provide a pathway to earn citizenship for the 11 million individuals who are already living in this country illegally.
He actually said they were living in this country. He used the I word, illegally. Boy, oh boy, was that a mistake on his part. But you're absolutely right. Look, I have no desire to legalize all the people who came here and broke the law. And then turn around and say, hey, by the way, you could, in a few years, you could bring all your family members from Mexico or wherever and bring them here. And for what? Why? Why are we doing that?
I don't know. For one thing, you pick up on what he says. He's going to go against the employers for hiring them. Okay, there's only one avenue left.
Right, but he's going to reward them for being here. Get
on the government doles, and now we got a voter. Okay.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Thank you, Steve.
Listen, thank you. I appreciate the call. All right, we'll get to the reaction from Dick Harpootlian, who made the remark about Nikki Haley. We'll get to that a little later in the show. But there's another issue in South Carolina. Today is Election Day in the 1st Congressional District. We've talked to former Governor Mark Sanford. He's seeking his old congressional seat back, and the election is today between himself and Elizabeth Colbert Bush, or Colbert Bush. I mean, her brother is Stephen Colbert, but she pronounces it Colbert, or either way, whatever. But there's an interesting story here in the Examiner, and it talks about the fact that while they naturally harp on Mark Sanford, and by the way, don't you love the double standard? Oh, Mark Sanford cheated on his wife, and now he wants to come back. Bill Clinton. Need I go through the litany? Okay, need I go through the accusations of sexual assault, rape? We know he exposed himself. He lost his law license. He was impeached. The affairs, the intern, Monica Lewinsky. Need I go through the whole thing? I never had sex with that woman, not once. I mean, and he is the god of the Democratic Party and the media. But Mark Sanford cheated on his wife, and oh, man, get this guy out of here. See, Mark Sanford has a little R next to his name, and that's the difference, of course. But it appears right here that Colbert Bush spent time in jail on contempt of court charges during a messy divorce. I said to Chad, did you know that Elizabeth Colbert Bush went to jail? He said, no, when? I said, I don't know, a few years ago, whenever the heck it was, over a divorce. 1988. That's a number of years ago, but still, nonetheless. How is it that Chad and I, two very savvy guys, of course I'm savvier than Chad, and this is the first we've ever heard that this woman was in jail? Because the media will never bring it up. And it says here in the Examiner, a Google search finds very little reporting on the incident outside of conservative blogs. I never even saw it on a conservative blog. I mean, this is bizarre. So you got a woman who spent time in jail. The media is not talking about it. She's just Stephen Colbert's sister. That's all she is to the media. And Mark Sanford is some, skunk who cheated on his wife because he's a Democrat, a Republican who cheated, not a Democrat who cheated. If he was a Democrat who cheated, it would be nobody's business except him and his wife, right? That's what we heard about Bill Clinton through every accusation and every affair and every incident. None of our business. So there's the double standard. The election is tonight or today. They're neck and neck in the polls. I hope he wins. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. But if you're in South Carolina, get out there and vote for Mark Sanford. When we come back, hour number 2, Judy Miller will join us right off the top, and we'll talk about Benghazi, maybe touch a little bit on Syria, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you owe the IRS back taxes and they're making your life miserable, get ready for a special free offer. Expert tax advisors can help you protect your home from liens, stop wage garnishment, and give you immediate collection relief. In fact, we guarantee to contact the IRS within 30 minutes of you becoming a client to start the tax relief process. Don't try to take on the most powerful organization in the United States by yourself. Call for free tax relief information and a free consultation on how we can help you. There is no cost or obligation to discover the programs that are available to stop your IRS problems from getting worse. Call our toll-free helpline now, 800-390-6910. That's 800-390-6910. The IRS will not go away. The pressure you feel now will only grow. Get the help you deserve. Call for a free no-obligation consultation now. Tax relief is just a phone call away. Call expert tax advisors at 800-390-6910. That's 800-390-6910.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MyTV. 1-855-625-MyTV.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. 3 young women apparently held captive for a decade in Ohio are now free.
Hello, please. Help me. I'm Amanda Berry.
You need police, fire, or ambulance?
I need police.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now.
Amanda Berry, who you just heard on that 911 call, broke free from captivity late Monday, the moment her alleged kidnapper stepped out of the house. A neighbor said he heard a woman scream for help. He then knocked down a door and Berry came running out with a small child. Berry and 2 other women were found alive yesterday near downtown Cleveland. The news came as a shock to families of the missing women who vanished more than 10 years ago.
She was just telling me that she's okay, and she's got a daughter.
Words can't say it. She knew who we were, and she knew we were looking for her all this time.
3 brothers in their 50s, including the man who lived in the home where the women were held, were arrested. Investigators combed through the house late into the night collecting evidence. Police said it would remain an active crime scene for days. And Secretary of State John Kerry arrived for talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, with Syria topping the agenda in Moscow on Tuesday. Kerry is pushing Putin to take a harder line with Syrian President Bashar Assad. The meeting comes on the heels of 2 airstrikes in Syria, and there is another growing crisis: those trying to escape Syria's civil war. So far, more than 70,000 people have been killed in the conflict, which is now entering its 3rd year. And the officer who runs the Sexual Assault Prevention Unit in the Air Force is now charged with sexual battery. This is Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Krasinski. You can see his mugshot right here. He's pretty beat up. He's been the chief of the Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Branch in the Air Force since February. Police say Krasinski groped a woman who fought him off and then got away, thus the bruises and scratches on his face in the mugshot. The arrest comes ahead of a new Defense Department report that shows sexual assaults in the military are on the rise. California Congresswoman Jackie Spears says sadly officers have broad powers to prevent prosecutions within their units, and they often do.
And the result is that we have about 1/3 of the women who serve in the military now that will sometime in their career be sexually assaulted or raped.
When we come right back, a deadly volcano eruption kills 5 people. More on the search for others still missing. And a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Steve King, his reaction to a new report that shows that immigration bill could cost taxpayers $6 trillion. That's right, trillion with a T. That's next.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man aged 50, non-tobacco user, may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers, too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Welcome back. This volcano in the central Philippines is now blamed for at least 5 deaths. The Mayon volcano started spewing ash and boulders in an area popular with hikers. The eruption killed 4 Germans and their tour guide. Disaster teams are now trying to rescue any remaining hikers who were in the area or recover any bodies that didn't survive. Well, a scathing report exposes the potential cost of that new immigration bill. Will it really cost you trillions of dollars? During a Newsmax exclusive, Congressman Steve King says that's just the latest reason why the bill won't work.
So I think that they have a lot of trouble selling this when the American people realize what's in it. I think there's a lot more pushback in the Senate than is anticipated now. And in the House, that effort is just getting mobilized.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for May the 6th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Says that the Benghazi scandal could be the final hinge point that brings down the regime. He said this to Newsmax. This could be the hinge point. It's that serious for them. I don't know that I subscribe to that. I don't know that it's going to bring them down. Too soon to say on that. But I guarantee you none of this was supposed to happen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show, hour number 2. That was from the Rush Limbaugh radio show today, talking about the interview that we did with John Bolton, the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, yesterday. And the story was written up by Bill Hoffman here for Newsmax. And add to that, Lindsey Graham saying that he thinks that he tweeted this out, actually, or posted on Facebook, rather. I think the dam is about to break on Benghazi. We're going to find a system failure before, during, and after the attacks. We're going to find political manipulation 7 weeks before an election. We're going to find people asleep at the switch when it comes to the State Department, including Hillary Clinton. Joining us now to talk about all this and so much more is our friend Judy Miller, Manhattan Institute fellow and Newsmax contributor. Hey, Judy, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good, thank you. All right, so the hearings start tomorrow. We have the whistleblowers taking center stage, but this time they have talked to the committee members and their attorneys prior to testifying, so we have kind of an idea of what they're going to be claiming. Is John Bolton right? Is Lindsey Graham right? Where are we?
Look, I think at the moment, based on what we know, I can't I can't subscribe to what Bolton, my friend John Bolton says. I really think we just have some questions that have to be answered about Benghazi. That's always been my position from the beginning. You know, who knew what, when, where, who did what, when, where, and what was done. Was it appropriate? Was it enough? Could more have been done? And until those questions are answered, and I think they should have been, and I fault the administration for not answering them up to everyone's satisfaction until now. But until we have answers to those questions, I think it's too early and inappropriate to speculate about the political impact on the president or his presidency.
Well, maybe too early, but why is it inappropriate?
It's inappropriate because we don't have answers. So to say that this could bring down the administration, I just don't agree. I mean, many people that I know and have talked to about this say that everything was done that could have been done. And if that's so, I think it behooves the administration to put the facts out in a sensible way. Look, we had a blue ribbon committee look at this.
That did not talk to Hillary Clinton, among others.
Did not talk to Hillary Clinton, exactly, and which said two things that seemed to me to be contradictory. One was that it said this blue ribbon panel suggested that on one hand there was a kind of systemic failure, with respect to security at the consulate in Benghazi and decisions that were made with respect to security. On the other hand, they said that it didn't really rise above the assistant secretary level. Well, how can that be so? If there are systemic failures, who is responsible for them? And I think the fact that much of that, some of that report, much of it actually is still classified, is, though I understand the need to protect sources and methods, it does not help the American people or critics of what happened in Benghazi understand the administration's case. So I think the administration would be better served by putting out all of the facts in a coherent and systematic way. And that's all I've been saying from the beginning is we need more information about what happened.
Well, we do have information from the whistleblowers who were either
there on the ground.
Well,
we're going to hear that tomorrow.
Right,
we
right,
don't have it yet.
Well, no, but we certainly know some of what they're going to say. We know that Greg Hicks, who said that when he heard the explanation from the administration that it was spontaneous due to a video, he said his jaw hit the floor when they blamed the YouTube video. Everybody there, he said, knew what had happened. We have another whistleblower saying that a U.S. military response could have frightened away the attackers. The military was ready to go, and they were told to stand down.
Well, I'm told by others that that is not true. So we have allegations without facts.
Well, you don't know that it's without facts. They might have the facts.
No, we have allegations. We have a whistleblower who's come forth with allegations. We also have allegations on the other side.
Yeah, but you...
From Leon, wait a minute,
yeah.
Excuse me, from Leon Panetta, the Secretary of Defense, and others who have publicly testified that there was not enough time to get help to the annex to stop what was going on there. We have what we have are competing allegations, and I would like to know who's right. I don't know who's right. I want to know the facts before I come to a judgment.
Well, how come you say it would behoove the administration to be more forthcoming and forthright and tell the American people. Why do you think? You think if it's to their benefit that they're not doing it because they don't want anything to their benefit? I mean, doesn't it give the appearance that they're hiding something?
It certainly gives the appearance that they're hiding something. And that has been, I think part of why I've been unhappy with the way in which the administration has handled Benghazi from the beginning. And they haven't made people available to the press. They've tried to, for a while they kind of hid behind the existence of this blue ribbon panel that was going to investigate the charges. Then when that report came out, that basically, by the way, even though it talked about systemic failure, supported the administration's claim that more could not have been done and in the time that was allowed. So, I think more of that report should have been published. I think they should have made people available to the media to answer these questions. And what I do find absolutely unacceptable is Jay Carney's statement recently that when he was asked about Benghazi, he said it was a long time ago. Well, it was a long time ago because we've had what seems to be a policy of stonewalling reporters' questions about what happened in Benghazi. So, yes, it was a long time ago, but that's not an answer.
We're talking to Judy Miller, Manhattan Institute Fellow and Newsmax contributor here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Also, you had John Kerry in back and forth testifying, saying he'd make everything available to the congressman. I forget which congressman it was at the time. He says, because we'll give you what you need because we have more important things to get to. So that's another slap in the face. You have this video, which nobody ever talks about. Nobody. The video made by Obama and Hillary at taxpayer expense that ran in Pakistan and wherever the heck else it ran, apologizing for the supposed YouTube video that caused caused all this. I mean, that was made, that was done. I'd love to see that played at the hearing. That seems to have just disappeared and gone away. You have the father of one of the slain Americans talking about how when Hillary, embraced him, she was cold as ice, looked past him and said, "We're going to get the guy who made the video." I mean, this is outrageous stuff.
Look, I don't know what the administration knew and who knew it when. I do know that the New York Times and other papers and several media outlets were all talking about a riot that had been sparked by a video. I don't know for how long the administration went on believing that. This is one of the questions that we need answered. And hopefully tomorrow we will have some more information brought to light that'll give us some of the answers, or at least some more allegations. I mean,
Right.
It's very hard to get to the bottom of an incident like this. It's very hard to understand what happened and the people who have done it, so far. And I do think that Tom Pickering is a very honorable man with a distinguished career. And if he says that there wasn't that there wasn't malfeasance or that people weren't disregarding their duty, but that mistakes were made and that there were systemic mistakes, then I'd like to know more about that. But I really think from the beginning the administration should have been more forthcoming. They haven't been. But until I know the facts, I'm going to reserve judgment.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's talk quickly about Syria.
Right.
There's a report today from the Times of Israel that 4 Syrian peacekeepers were grabbed near the Golan by the so-called Syrian rebels, a group called the Yarmouk Martyrs Brigade. They got 4 Filipinos supposedly held for their own protection. Nonetheless, where do you see this going? I mean, we also have reports of explosions near Tehran, not far from supposed nuclear facilities or nuclear labs or whatever you want to call them. So this seems to be intensifying, although Syria has given a green light to Palestinians to retaliate. I don't see Assad being able to engineer any kind of retaliation right now.
No, I think, unfortunately, what I see happening is more of the same for a long time. I think what we saw with respect to the Israeli raid on Syria was that at least one country has a red line that it is serious about. And the administration has been walking back and talking back its red line ever since the time that the president apparently on an impromptu off-the-cuff statement declared his red line.
Right.
Said that it would have consequences, and that was a Times story over the weekend that I found pretty shocking.
Yeah, no, me too. I saw the same thing. Judy, I appreciate your time as always, and thank you very much. We'll talk, I'm sure, again after the hearings on Benghazi.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye. Judy Miller, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, Roger Stone will join us, the great political analyst and strategic he's run so many campaigns I can't even count them. So we'll talk to him about a bunch of stuff right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio?
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Joining us now is our friend, political consultant, lobbyist, strategist, you name him, Roger Stone. Hey, Roger.
Steve, great to be with you.
Well, great to be with you. How you doing?
Doing terrific. I'm in New York City today.
Oh, well, okay. If I had known that,
your town.
I would have insisted that you stop up. But nonetheless, it's great to have you. All right, we don't have a lot of time, so let me ask you first. Chris Christie. The talk all over the tube today is that Chris Christie had this lap band surgery in February where they, similar to what Al Roker had and others, where they tie your stomach a little bit and decreases your appetite, your ability to intake of food. And he supposedly has dropped 50 pounds, not that we really noticed. And the question they're asking all over, which really kind of offends me, is this more likely? Does this make him more likely to be a palatable candidate for president? Does it matter?
Yeah, I really think it does. I mean, I agree with Chris Christie on some things. I disagree strongly with him on others. But I do think that his running for president with clearly the weight problem that he himself went on television and joked about raised serious questions about his health. I don't think the American people would elect a president if they were worried that that individual's weight posed a health risk. Would the president even live to finish his term? So to me, this is the greatest signal we've seen yet that Chris Christie will be a candidate in 2016. And frankly, I think a trimmed down Chris Christie will be even more formidable.
Yeah, it's funny because when people talk about, a female and her looks when it comes to running for president or in political office. It's always been a factor in presidential elections, going back to Kennedy and Nixon in the debate.
There's no question. And this wasn't just a question of Christie being slightly overweight or even being overweight as Governor Mike Huckabee was. And then, of course, you recall he trimmed down for his presidential race, managed to keep most but not all of the weight off. I mean, if you saw Christie on Letterman a couple months ago, he isn't just fat, he was enormous.
Yeah, he is.
And it posed a health risk. I'm a friend of Chris Christie, and I want to see him live a long time. So this is good for his family, it's good for him, it's good for New Jersey, and it may be good for his presidential campaign.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll leave it there and we'll move along. Okay, let's talk a little bit about where the Republican Party is headed. We have Benghazi coming up. I think the Republicans, if they do it right and then utilize it down the road, could score a lot of points. And I don't mean that this should be about scoring points. This should be about getting to the truth of why 4 Americans died. But nonetheless, I think this is something that the American public would be interested in if they knew what really happened. And I also think I just think on immigration reform, I think the Republicans are wading down a river here, which is not going to bear any fruit for them or they're planting a tree which won't bear fruit because no matter how far they go, Roger, I believe they'll still be portrayed as the villains, that they didn't go far enough. The Democrats wanted this, but the evil Republicans wouldn't give it, so they had to settle for this bill. Now, if only the Democrats had all the power, they would have given you this and this and this, plus the tens of thousands, tens of millions are all going to be, or most of them are going to be Democratic voters. So I just don't see what advantage this holds for Republicans to do immigration reform.
Well, let's take these one at a time. First of all, on Benghazi, my question is simple. What did the president know, and when did he know it?
And Hillary.
There needs to be a full inquiry.
Yep.
And as I used to say in the 1970s, it could be jail to the chief. I think the president's lying. I don't think they've been clear about what they really did. If it turns out to be true, as is indicated, that a rescue squad, in essence, a task force was stopped from going in to save American lives, then Barack Obama should pay with his office. He needs to be removed, if that's the case. He needs to be removed.
Okay, now immigration.
No, now immigration. First of all, I don't buy the idea that the Republican Party has an anti-immigration majority. I actually think that immigration has to be viewed as an economic issue. And as you move what is today an underground economy to the recognized economy, I think that's additive to the overall strength of the economy. Plus, employers will be paying benefits instead of government paying benefits. So it's kind of there's a double advantage, I think, to the country. There is a pro-immigration majority among Republicans in both the House and Senate, in my opinion. And we have to deal with a political reality, given the socioeconomic and demographic changes in the United States. If the Republican Party is viewed as being anti-immigrant, we are locking ourselves out of the White House forever.
All right, Roger,
for the foreseeable future.
We're going to have to end it on that. I appreciate it. We'll talk more about this, and we'll have you back soon. Thank you, sir.
Steve, great to be with you.
Okay, Roger Stone, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Very short interview, but very, very interesting and thought-provoking on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Last year, over 1 million consumers searched lawyer.com looking for a top lawyer, and our traffic continues to grow dramatically. We now need more top lawyers to cover many market and practice areas. Join now and lock in membership pricing for only $59 per month. We have no contracts and an unconditional money-back guarantee. Call now to receive a special radio-only discount where you can save up to $480. If you're a lawyer and you're looking for quality leads, customers to build your practice, you must call right now. 877-314-2657, 877-314-2657, 877-314-2657. If you're a lawyer looking for leads, you must call this number right now. 877-314-2657, 877-314-2657.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall and maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall and Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall and Associates right.
My eye and the eyes of many, and that's the new reserves in the Williston Basin, and how much oil we're talking about, and how this just speaks to the fact that we have so much untapped energy right here in our own country. And of course, you are a member of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee. But if I may, tomorrow we have very highly touted and anticipated hearings in the House at the Oversight Committee on Benghazi. Lindsey Graham has said that the administration story is starting to fall apart. John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, told us yesterday that this could bring down the Obama administration. What's your take on it? What do you hope to learn tomorrow?
The facts. You know, what happened, why were we not able to have a military response when the fighting went on for better off with opportunity and economic growth? And that's really the fundamental principle that I think Republicans are all about.
But on the social issues and on immigration and on right to life, you know, where people say, oh, you know, they're losing women, they're losing Hispanics, they're losing gays, they have to modify or whatever. I mean, there are those in the party who would like to see those positions shifted way to the left or just ignored. Where are you on that?
I think if you go out and the number one issue for people across this great country is opportunity. That's what America is all about. That's what they want from their government. And I think that's the message that we have and that we have to emphasize. And I think we can win on that message.
Two quick ones. Do you think that the gun bill will be brought back to the floor, and do you think it will pass this time, the one that was defeated?
You know, we're hearing that it may be, but you know, I guess we have to see what they try to do with it that's different. You know, I think we have to be strong for the Second Amendment. And the real issue here is not infringing further on the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding gun owners. The issue we should be working on is the mental health aspect. And I think you saw people willing to do that. So the issue is, Are they going to bring back the same kind of bill, or are they going to focus on the real issue, which should have been, what we do about mental health and keeping people who are mentally ill from committing these acts of violence?
I'd also love to see mandatory sentences. I saw the police chief of Chicago on CBS a few months ago.
Enforcement of the laws.
Right. They let them out to shoot again, and they say we have no space in jail. Well,
don't even prosecute them. There's a tremendous number of people who were caught by the system, the background check
right,
system,
and they're
the
not
system,
prosecuted.
and then they weren't prosecuted.
It's crazy. That was the Milwaukee police chief who testified to that. One other for you. With your background, sir, and they say governors have a good shot at the nomination for the presidency because of their executive experience. Senators, as you've seen from Barack Obama, and maybe Hillary Clinton will be on board, and maybe Joe Biden will be next up. But your success in your state economically, especially for 10 years as governor, your experience now in the Senate, is the presidency something that you aspire to possibly down the road?
I'm just trying to do my job as a senator and see if we can't get this economy going and growing and get this debt and deficit under control.
But you wouldn't rule it out right now, right?
Like I said, that's not something I'm focused on or looking at this point. I'm looking at seeing if we can't get the Congress working.
Gotcha. Listen, I hope you'll come back, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Bye-bye. Senator John Hoeven, ladies and gentlemen. Republican from North Dakota. In North Dakota, wages, personal income, growing faster than the national average, continuing to grow faster. The state led the nation in export growth. Unbelievable economic statistics in North Dakota. And the groundwork was laid, and it was all started under the tenure of again, Governor Hoeven, and now he's a senator. So I'm glad he didn't say he would. Yeah, absolutely, I rule it out. Of course, you never say never. But watch for this man down the road, possibly because his resume is, especially after a term in the Senate. Although, who needs a term in the Senate? A guy named, what was his name? Oh, yeah, Barack Obama. He started running the day he entered the Senate. Okay, when we come back, remember Casey Anthony. God, who could forget Casey Anthony? And the judge in that case. Well, he was on the Today Show yesterday. Yesterday, tomorrow. No, she's out there. Who's on first? I don't know. Anyway, and you might be shocked at some of the things he had to say. I know I was interested and surprised. So we will bring it to you when we come back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S., specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue.
Process of an evil empire. Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54 with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today in this free offer. We are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. In the next hour, you're not going to want to miss this as I face off, square off, whatever you want to call it, with Dr. Jason Johnson from Politic365.com. We go at it just about once a week. We part as friends. But we're going to talk about the comments made by Clarence Thomas that he said he always knew he'd see a black man elected president, just said it would have to be a black man approved by the elite and the elite media. And, of course, after what Clarence Thomas went through, his self-described high-tech lynching at the hands of the likes of Joe Biden and Ted Kennedy when he was going through his confirmation hearings as to be a Supreme Court justice. So we'll talk to him about that. We will also talk about Benghazi and what Dr. Jason Johnson might expect out of the hearings, and was there a cover-up, and will it be the end of the Obama administration? We shall see. All right, so watching the Today Show yesterday, and there's the judge, Judge Belvin Perry, who was the presiding judge in the Casey Anthony case. Casey Anthony, who, you know, she was not guilty, but I believe in my heart, I'm allowed to believe what I want. I think she killed her daughter. I absolutely think she killed her daughter. And Judge Belvin was on talking to Savannah Guthrie of NBC News, and here's some of what he said on yesterday, cut 24.
There were two sides to Casey. There was the side that was before the jury where she betrayed the role of a mother who had lost a child, someone who was wrongfully accused, and then you could notice the change and transformation in her when the jury went out. She was very commanding. She took charge of different things, and you could see sometime her scolding her attorneys.
Did you think she was manipulative?
Very manipulative.
Very manipulative. In other words, what I got out of that was putting on one act when the jury was in the room, the poor victim, the poor mother falsely accused of murdering her daughter, the poor woman who lost her daughter, and then when the jury left, okay, what the heck's going on here? In fact, he talks about when he was waiting near the holding cell and he overheard a commotion involving Casey Anthony and her attorneys. Let's give a listen to cut number 25.
I will never forget that day. One Saturday morning before we were about to begin our session, the lawyers wanted some time to discuss a possible plea to aggravated manslaughter with Casey. They went back in the holding cell, and of course the waiting area for me was by the holding cell, and all of a sudden you heard shouting coming from the holding cell, some 4-letter words coming from the holding cell. And she was quite upset, so upset that one counsel suggested that she was incompetent to proceed.
That's got to be pretty upset. That's not just from yelling and screaming. Emotionally upset to the point where one counsel suggested she was emotionally incompetent to continue? That's got to be some scene, and that's the Casey Anthony we never saw. That's the Casey Anthony that the judge saw, that the prosecution saw, the defense saw when the cameras were not there, when the jury was not there. And to me, again, my personal opinion, that's the real Casey Anthony. And this poor little girl, of course, Kaylee, is dead, and no one was punished for it. No one was punished for it. And let's go to the final cut here. He was asked, I don't know if she asked the question, so I'll ask it. You might hear it repeated. Was he surprised when he was handed the verdict to read and to announce to the world? And here is cut 26.
One of the things that I had to do was to decide whether or not to send this case to a jury. Yes, there was sufficient evidence to sustain a verdict of murder in the first degree in this case.
What did you think when you opened the envelope and read that verdict?
Surprised, shock, disbelief.
I think you told me you read it twice.
I just wanted to be sure I was reading what I was reading.
He wanted to be sure he was reading what he was reading, is what he was going to say if the cut had finished or was taken to its fruition. Anyway, it's just a sham. For this judge to be able to come on now and tell us what he was thinking. We heard the jury. I got to say, my opinion, those jurors, some of those jurors in the Casey Anthony case, the ones who spoke afterward, some of them who spoke afterward, were the stupidest people that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they would, maybe the father had something to do with it. What do you mean maybe the father had something to do with it? I mean, the grandfather of Kaylee, but the father of Casey. Why? Because Casey insinuated? She never took the stand because the defense attorney insinuated that he'd had something to do with covering up a murder or murdering her or molesting Casey when she was a little girl. You can't allow yourself as a juror to get distracted. Now, I know you might be saying, well, Steve, that's reasonable doubt. If they thought the father did it for some reason, Casey's father did it, the grandfather of Kaylee did it, then that's reasonable doubt. Yeah, I know. But I watched that trial. How on earth do you think that father did anything? Based on what evidence? I mean, you'd look at the computer that Casey had access to, that they found all kinds of things about, I don't even remember, about knocking something that would knock someone out and then how to dispose of a body, all these kinds of things. I mean, my goodness. If it walks and quacks and eats and whatever, then it is. And this woman, in my opinion, I don't know what the terminology is, psychological terminology is for it, but all she cares about is herself. And I guess she was unhappy her daughter died, or something she did killed her. I believe she killed her daughter, whether it was on purpose or by accident. Although, she was out partying while her daughter was missing. Don't forget the month, 2 months, whatever it was, that she didn't tell anybody that her own daughter was missing. Dead. She knew she was dead. And the grandmother says one day, where's Kaylee? Oh, well, she's missing. How long has she been missing? Oh, about a month. I mean, please. And she's out partying. rubbing up against other women in nightclubs, pictures taken of them, while her daughter is missing. How could it not have been Casey Anthony? Judge agrees with me, apparently. But what do we know? Those Florida jurors, they were absolutely correct. And I'm glad Casey's walking free. On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide. At bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. 3 young women apparently held captive for a decade in Ohio are now free.
Hello, please. Help me, I'm Amanda Berry.
You need police, fire, or ambulance?
I need police.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now.
Amanda Berry, who you just heard on that 911 call, broke free from captivity late Monday, the moment her alleged kidnapper stepped out of the house. A neighbor said he heard a woman scream for help. He then knocked down a door, and Berry came running out with a small child. Berry and 2 other women were found alive yesterday near downtown Cleveland. The news came as a shock to families of the missing women who vanished more than 10 years ago.
She was just telling me that she's okay, she's got a daughter.
Words can't say it. She knew who we were, and she knew we were looking for her all this time.
3 brothers in their 50s, including the man who lived in the home where the women were held, were arrested. Investigators combed through the house late into the night collecting evidence. Police said it would remain an active crime scene for days. And Secretary of State John Kerry arrived for talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, with Syria topping the agenda in Moscow on Tuesday. Kerry is pushing Putin to take a harder line with Syrian President Bashar Assad. The meeting comes on the heels of 2 airstrikes in Syria, and there is another growing crisis: those trying to escape Syria's civil war. So far, more than 70,000 people have been killed in the conflict, which is now entering its 3rd year. And the officer who runs the Sexual Assault Prevention Unit in the Air Force is now charged with sexual battery. This is Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Krasinski. You can see his mugshot right here. He's pretty beat up. He's been the chief of the Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Branch in the Air Force since February. Police say Krasinski groped a woman who fought him off and then got away, thus the bruises and scratches on his face in the mugshot. The arrest comes ahead of a new Defense Department report that shows sexual assaults in the military are on the rise. California Congresswoman Jackie Spears says sadly officers have broad powers to prevent prosecutions within their units, and they often do.
And the result is that we have about a third of the women who serve in the military now that will sometime in their career be sexually assaulted or raped.
When we come right back, a deadly volcano eruption kills 5 people. More on the search for others still missing. And a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Steve King, his reaction to a new report that shows that immigration bill could cost taxpayers $6 trillion. That's right, trillion with a T. That's next.
Have you ever wondered how you could make a difference in someone's life? What if you could help hundreds or even thousands of children? Students in the U.S. rank 32nd in world math skills. It's time for our children to catch up. Become an owner of one of the world's fastest growing franchises, Mathnasium. Mathnasium is the leading math-only learning center in the U.S. Imagine helping hundreds, even thousands of students in your community improve in school and raise their self-esteem. Call us at 800-676-5216. 800-676-5216.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
Welcome back. This volcano in the central Philippines is now blamed for at least 5 deaths. The Mayon volcano started spewing ash and boulders in an area popular with hikers. The eruption killed 4 Germans and their tour guide. Disaster teams are now trying to rescue any remaining hikers who were in the area or recover any bodies that didn't survive. Well, a scathing report exposes the potential cost of that new immigration bill. Will it really cost you trillions of dollars? During a Newsmax exclusive, Congressman Steve King says that's just the latest reason why the bill won't work.
So I think that they have a lot of trouble selling this when the American people realize what's in it. I think there's a lot more pushback in the Senate than is anticipated now. And in the House, that effort is just getting mobilized.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for May the 6th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Now, at this time, I'd like to introduce... Now, do I call him Senator or do I call him Governor Shaheen? What do I call him? That's what I thought. And about 18 months from now, hopefully he will have sent Nikki Haley back to wherever the hell she came from. And this country can move forward.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to hour number 3 of the Steve Malzberg Show. That wonderful human being happens to be the outgoing chairman of the Democratic Party in the state of South Carolina, Dick Harpootlian, and he was talking about the governor of his state, female, of Indian heritage, although she was born in the United States, her parents were not. and saying hopefully when her term is up, she'll be sent back to wherever the hell she came from. Nice language. Wonderful language. Well, he tried to explain it away today. Here's cut 42. Give a listen to this one.
I have to ask you, before I let you both go, about that controversial comment you made last week about Governor Nikki Haley, where you said you hope in 18 months her challenger will have, quote, sent Nikki Haley back to wherever the hell she came from, and this country can move forward. The governor is from South Carolina, although her parents are from India. Do you wish you could take that back?
Okay. I give her credit for asking it. After all, it is MSNBC. Let's listen to the answer, cut 43.
Well, I mean, I apologize yesterday if anyone inferred. I mean, I'm the grandson of immigrants. I certainly wasn't meaning. She's not from India. She is from Bamberg, where she.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying she's from the county.
She's from Bamberg, South Carolina, where she was an accountant in her parents' clothing store called Exotica, and all I'm suggesting is she needs to go back to being an accountant in a dress store rather than being this fraud of a governor that we have.
Okay, that is such a pathetic answer. She was an accountant in a dress store, so that's go back to wherever the hell she came from. You're talking about a woman with an Indian heritage. Sure, she was not born in India, but her parents were. Now, I could sit here and I could tell you and I could ask you the question, what would happen if that had been the chairman of a Republican Party of a state and he had said that about a black governor or a governor that had a strong ethnic background who was a Democrat, or a female governor? I'm trying to think of a female governor, Democrat with an ethnic background, and said, I can't wait. Got to be a Southerner because those are the racist ones, right? I can't wait until this guy, the governor we have, to send her back to wherever the hell she came from. All heck would break loose. It would be the lead, of course, notwithstanding today's events of the Cleveland hostages and kidnapped victims being freed. It wouldn't stop. And the Republican Party would be defined by that one person, by that one remark, just the way the whole Republican convention last year was defined in Tampa by one congressman's remark on rape. That was it. That was it. The party of rape. The party excuses rape, it condones rape, it loves rape, 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 war on women, because one congressman said something stupid for which he apologized for. And if this had been a Republican, then the whole party would be held responsible. But it's a Democrat. And so hardly any notice is given to it at all. Now, on Morning Joe, yesterday, this is yesterday, Joe was not there. What do you call it when it's not Morning Joe? Morning Mika? Anyway, they were talking about it. And here is cut number 32. And by the way, it's not only Mika, it's also Mark Halpern of Time Magazine is also there, who actually calls the outgoing chairman who made the remark a nice guy. But listen to what they say. Give a listen to cut 32.
So let me just say, fair enough. That if a Republican did this, we'd be covering it like crazy. So we're covering it because it was wrong, and those statements were absolutely wrong. I don't care what he meant. He should just say he regrets it. Agreed? Anyone disagree?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
He's a good man, but he has a history of making floppy remarks, and
That's
he should
a
probably
gaffe at
say
best.
something different.
Yeah, and say that.
Yeah.
How about just, I'm really sorry. That was the wrong choice of words, and I am so sorry.
Betty says it today.
What, yeah.
I bet he does.
I think he might.
But you're right, Mika. Role play that. Flip the roles.
Oh, my Lord. Republican?
The head of the Republican Party in the state of
Oh,
we would have led with it.
Yeah, we would have.
We would have led with it.
They admit. They admit they would have led with it. They admit they would have been talking about it all morning. They admit. So why didn't you lead with it? Why? Because it wasn't a Republican. They admitted what I just said would happen. They just said would have happened. If it had been a Republican, we would have led with it. Oh, we would have been all over it. We would have been talking about it all morning. Of course. You don't have to be a genius to figure this out. They admitted it right there for you to hear and to see. Now, you heard Mark Halpern. He's a nice guy. He just has a history of making sloppy remarks. He's a nice guy, and when he says something racist like that, or that a Republican would be considered racist for saying, it's a sloppy remark. Sloppy. And she called it a gaffe at best. At least she was the most honest. Mika. Morning Mika. When Joe's not there, it's Morning Mika. Can't buy that at the corner store, though, right? Like your Morning Joe. Anyway. All right, so that was yesterday. Joe was back today. And it was Morning Joe once more. Morning Joe all over America. And they were talking about it. But here, Mika, in almost a role reversal, tries to stop Joe from bringing it up. And listen to Cut 41.
And speaking of South Carolina really quickly, you guys talked about that clown that runs the Democratic Party down there, right?
Yes, we did for quite some time. Former clown.
Did he step down?
Yeah, no, he fully apologized.
How about he stepped down?
He's stepping down.
Oh.
He is stepping down.
But he fully apologized because he wasn't going to apologize.
He apologized.
He called Nikki Haley Hitler's mistress first.
Yeah, we don't need to repeat it. It's also stupid.
Hitler's mistress, and then I'm wondering why it took so long. Anyway,
because he's not very quick.
Yeah.
All right, so you didn't know about that. And did you hear Mika? See, he called her Hitler's mistress before he said we should send her back to wherever the hell she came from. And Mika, when Joe was saying he called her, she's going, we don't need to say that again. What is this? Yesterday, Mika was saying, if this had been a Republican, we would have been saying, we would have been covering this all day. It was reprehensible. Blah, blah, he should apologize. And now, first of all, he apologized? I heard him say I meant that she should go back to being an accountant in a dress store. I didn't hear him say I'm sorry. I didn't hear him say he takes it back and I beg for forgiveness. Did you? I mean, maybe he did, but the cut I heard when confronted on MSNBC, he said, "Oh no! I was talking. She was from a dress. Her mom's like a dress shop, so I wanted to go back to her mom's dress shop." Okay, that doesn't sound like I'm sorry to me. Maybe he did apologize after, but I didn't hear it. And I am the only one that counts, of course. But yes. In 2012, he's never apologized for this remark. He compared Haley with Adolf Hitler's mistress, Eva Braun. And when Joe Scarborough of Morning Joe tries to bring it up, Mika, formerly of Morning Mika, when Joe wasn't there, says, it's like, you know, when you're a kid and someone's going to tell on you, what do you do? No. That's what she was doing. Can we run that 41 again? She doesn't want Joe Scarborough to say to bring up what this Dick Harpootlian had said about her being Hitler's mistress in 2012. Let's play it again.
And speaking of South Carolina really quickly, you guys talked about that clown that runs the Democratic Party down there, right?
Yes, we did for quite some time. Former clown.
Did he step down?
Yeah, no, he fully apologized.
How about he stepped down?
He's stepping down.
Oh.
He is stepping down.
But he fully apologized because he wasn't going to apologize.
He apologized.
He called Nikki Haley Hitler's mistress first.
Yeah, we don't need to repeat it. It's also stupid.
Hitler's mistress, and then I'm wondering why it took so long. Anyway,
because he's not very quick.
Because it took so long because he's not very quick. That was great, Mika. And by the way, he's stepping down. They're making it sound like he's stepping down because of what he said. No, he was due to step down. He's the outgoing Democratic State Party chairman of South Carolina. Has nothing to do with he's decided to step down because of the reprehensible things he said. But even the 2012 Hitler remark, according to Time Magazine's Mark Halpern, that was a sloppy remark. You know what sloppy reminds me of? When Sandy Berger went into the National Archives and took all these documents, stuffed them in his pants, in his shoes, in his jacket. Remember that? And got caught? And these were documents that could have reflected bad on Bill Clinton's legacy, what did they start calling him? Oh, Sloppy Sandy. He didn't realize he had papers stuffed here and stuffed there and stuffed in his pants and his socks and his underwear. He didn't know. He's sloppy. You ever see his desk, they said? Oh, we call him Sloppy Sandy. So now when we compare someone to Hitler's mistress, that's a sloppy remark if you are a Democrat. All right, folks, we're coming back with much more of this great stuff. Where else could you get this except on the Steve Malzberg Show?
The Steve Malzberg Show.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of Lignet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard Lignet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is Lignet? Lignet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C.-based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. Lignet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmarth, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, Lignet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, Lignet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on Lignet's assessments. Lignet members receive unrestricted access to Lignet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. Lignet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what Lignet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable Lignet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join Lignet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, we are back on the Steve Malzberg Show. Don't forget, coming up in just a few minutes, Dr. Jason Johnson, senior politics editor for Politic365.com, and we're going to debate a couple of the issues, including the remarks made by Clarence Thomas, which I can't wait to talk to the doctor about. Okay, did anybody see George Stephanopoulos? I guess it was the round table on Sunday, ABC This Week, with Cokie Roberts and Mary Matlin and James Carville and the whole crew. And they were talking about guns, evil, evil, evil guns. And let's talk about it here with cut number 33.
Cokie Roberts, the president, and Senator Joe Manchin, who supported the background checks bill, have been NRA member, vowing to bring it back. Will it come up for another vote in the Senate?
I doubt it, and even if it does, I don't think that they can do it this year. But I think that the pressure is changing, and what you see in Senator Ayotte's polls and others of the members who voted against the background checks is that they have come down in the polls, and Senator Pat Toomey, the senator who went with Manchin, the Republican from Pennsylvania, who joined with Manchin on those background checks, his approval ratings have come up, and particularly on that gun issue. So it's possible that the politics of this are changing. You've got these organizations. Michael Bloomberg has got these mayors against gun violence. He's spending a lot of money on it, and the dynamics might start to change on them.
All right, Cokie is hoping and praying that because some stupid polls might show Pat Toomey's approval ratings up and Senator Ayotte's ratings down, that the Senate will capitulate on this. I hope they don't. I hope these Republicans and the handful of Democrats that went along with killing the legislation, I hope they stick to their principles. I almost said guns, didn't say it, principles. Now here is Mary Matlin, conservative, of course, cut 34.
Yes, here's what changed. They exploded the NRA membership. It exploded gun purchasing. I became a lifetime member this week, bought a pistol, can't find ammo anywhere.
Good.
This is the intensity gap.
All right, did you hear Cokie Roberts? When Mary Matlin said can't find ammo anywhere, Cokie Roberts says, good. Let me tell you what's going on here. And this is getting way out of hand. The administration, I believe, and so do many others, the administration is in the process of trying to buy up as much ammunition as possible and institute their own Second Amendment restrictions and violations, if you will. Nothing in the Constitution says the government can't buy up all the ammunition, which would render guns pretty useless. And that's what they're doing. I believe it in my heart. That's exactly what they're doing. I believe Obama told Napolitano, buy as much as you can. And they're buying millions and millions and millions of rounds, more than our Iraq soldiers ever needed. How's that? That's what's happening. But Cokie Roberts, see, that she's the left. Mary Matlin laments the fact that she has a gun, but she can't get any bullets. Good. Good. You don't need bullets. What do you need bullets for? Here's cut number 35.
Intensity gap is, but I did manage to find some because I live in it. The intensity gap for the people who support the Second Amendment, this is bigger than guns, and the despicable exploitation of the grief of these victims with legislation that would not have stopped or thwarted any of these tragedies is a real commentary on our political
I don't think they feel exploited a bit. They're the people who are in there doing it themselves. And I've talked to several of them. This has become a very passionate issue for them.
Of course they don't feel exploited themselves, the parents of the Newtown victims and other shooting victims and their families. Of course they don't feel exploited. They think they're accomplishing something. But the fact of the matter is, none of these laws that they're pushing would have saved their kids. The background check law wouldn't have saved first-class, first-rate exploitation. Then there's Chris Matthews talking to the NRA president, Jim Porter, or the official of the NRA, about gun rights and compares it. Well, give a listen to cut 36.
This is where he's right again. And to everybody watching, this isn't just about guns. It is about guns. It's about this war in this country that's gotten more divided, more polarized, and it's about symbols like telling you can't have a certain kind of gun. You need certain kind of freedoms with your gun, like no background checks, or that you have an African-American president.
See, it's about the people who don't want more gun control, the people who don't want the Second Amendment infringed upon, the people who want, as law-abiding citizens, to be able to buy and own guns freely as the Second Amendment allows them to, they have a problem with an African-American president. Again, my opinion, I'm not a shrink. There's really something wrong with Chris Matthews. Either that or he's putting on a show where everything and anything is racism, racism, racism. You take your pick on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't...
Customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what would a week be if we didn't check in with our buddy and our friend, the Dr. Jason Johnson, senior politics editor for Politic365.com. Hello, Doc.
I'm doing good. How are you today, Steve?
Good. I'm doing well as well. Okay, let's give a listen. Earlier in the week, Clarence Thomas made some remarks. Actually, by now, if this is Tuesday, it was probably last week he made these remarks about whether or not he ever thought he would live to see a black president. And here's what he had to say. Cut
I always thought there would be black coaches, black heads of universities. Maybe, again, as I said, I'm naive. But the thing that I knew that it would have to be a black president who was approved by the elites, the media, because anybody they didn't agree with, they would take apart. And that will happen with virtually, you pick your person, any black person who says something that is not the prescribed things that they expect from a black person will be picked apart. You can pick anybody. Don't pick me. Pick anyone who has decided not to go along with it. there's a price to pay. So I always assumed it would be somebody the media had to agree with.
Right, and again, those remarks actually were made about a month ago, I think in Duquesne Law School, or regardless, it was on C-SPAN. And so what do you think of what he had to say? You agree?
Oh, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. You know, this is why I think it's so funny when anyone says, "Oh, well, the elites had to pick them, and the press had to agree." What president isn't selected by elites? I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. And more importantly, this idea that, well, the liberal press, that's what he's saying, the liberal press has to accept one because supposedly the liberal press has that so much power. The same thing is said about college professors, right? We're all supposedly liberals and we control the minds of our students, and yet Reagan got elected and Bush got elected. So, I think it's a bunch of nonsense. Clarence Thomas is entitled to believe what he wants to believe. But I think he's wrong, and there's really not much empirical evidence to back up what he said.
Oh, there's plenty of empirical evidence, and let's start with Alan Keyes. I was working at ABC, division of ABC News at the time, doing some freelance work on the day, I believe it was a Sunday, when Alan Keyes announced for the presidency, becoming the first black to run for the presidential nomination. This is way back in the 90s at some point. I don't remember exactly when. Maybe I don't remember. Maybe 90. I don't remember exactly when. Point is, nobody, not one network covered it. When Jesse Jackson ran for the presidency, it was worldwide coverage because the media couldn't give a rat's behind about Alan Keyes, because Alan Keyes, this is what Clarence Thomas Justice Thomas was alluding to, is that any black, including himself, Condoleezza Rice, Michael Steele, Alan Keyes, you go right down the list, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, they are portrayed. Sarah Palin, conservative women, once she was selected, the head of NOW said she might as well be a white male because she's not one of us. They're treated as traitors. It's the most racist, bigoted thing I've ever seen, but that's how it is, and Clarence Thomas is 100% right.
He's completely wrong, and I can give you a perfect example. Number one, you take a look at Jesse Jackson versus Alan Keyes. Jesse Jackson was already famous. Jesse Jackson had been involved with Martin Luther King. Most people did not know who Alan Keyes was. And let me tell you something else about it.
First African-American to seek the Republican presidential nomination. Is it newsworthy, my friend?
Jesse Jackson was an internationally known figure.
Who cares?
Something else about Alan Keyes.
Who cares?
I'm not saying that he wasn't a qualified guy or anything else like that. His own party wanted to ignore him.
We're talking about the news media coverage, and Clarence Thomas said the news media, the elite media, would have to sign off.
Whether Alan Keyes was successful. And let me tell you another example. You look at somebody like Clarence Thomas, and again, and I think it's sort of naive, again, this sort of assumption that people are sort of ordained by the media or press. There are lots of people in the press who happen to be Democrats. There are lots of people in the press who happen to be liberal, and yet Republicans still get elected. They get elected to Congress. They still get elected to the presidency of the United States of all colors. Michael Steele got elected. Jennifer Carroll got elected. So this idea that black people can only make it so far because there's this mythical monolithic media that prevents them from being successful, I think that's crazy.
Well, he was talking about the presidency specifically. He wasn't talking about the congressional level. He wasn't even talking about the state level. He was talking about the presidency, and we've already seen
it didn't work for Al Sharpton. It didn't work for Carol Moseley Brown.
Al Sharpton was a man who's called Jews Diamond. And you know what? It has worked for Al Sharpton. Not that he's won the presidency, but let's talk about Al Sharpton. You brought him up. If a white person had ever perpetuated the Tawana Brawley hoax in reverse, if a white person had ever called Greeks homos, Jews diamond merchants, and white people opening a business in Harlem interlopers, but instead maybe in Bensonhurst on 86th Street called them black interlopers, and subsequently that store was burnt down and 7 people were killed. Do you think that man would ever be welcomed on the Republican stage running for president? Do you think he'd have a TV show and a radio show? Do you think
I don't know. You'd have to ask me about Pat.
Really? You don't know? Okay.
He says the same thing.
What's that?
He had a job for years on television.
Who?
Pat Buchanan has pretty much said the same thing.
That is an absolute lie. There is absolutely no analogy between Pat Buchanan. What store owner? What store? Wait.
stick to what was talking about.
Don't tell me what to stick to. You brought up Al Sharpton, and I'm
wasn't successful. He wasn't successful.
Al Sharpton is a successful radio host, television host, a so-called recognized by the same elite media as a civil rights leader. How could someone be a civil rights leader who said all those horrific things and called all those people names based on ethnicity?
I'm not responsible for Al Sharpton's success.
Nobody's saying you are. The media that Clarence Thomas was talking about is
presidency. And he said, I didn't think any black person would get into that position unless they were approved by the elites and they were oppressed. Well, Al Sharpton wasn't approved by anybody. Carol Moseley Braun wasn't successful either. Colin Powell decided not to run.
You're missing the whole point. And the whole point is that whenever there is a black, Hispanic, or female who comes to the national scene for national office or higher office, they are portrayed as traitors, as something wrong with them.
That was not the case with Colin Powell.
That
was never the case.
Say again?
That was not the case with Colin Powell.
No.
Had Colin Powell run for president in the year 2000, he probably could have won. People wanted, Colin Powell is a Republican. Colin Powell
is a Republican who voted for Obama. Come on, you got to do better than that.
He voted for Obama in 2008 for the previous 20-something years. The guy he was in Republican administration.
But he didn't run for president. So I don't know why you're bringing him up. He didn't run for president.
To back up what Clarence Thomas is saying, other than his own warped view of politics, and that's fine for him to believe that. But there's really evidence.
The media doesn't lambast and tear apart conservative women, blacks, and Hispanics, huh? They're not doing it to Marco Rubio right now, huh?
There are members of the press who are incredibly critical of all sorts of people. But if you're talking about pundits or journalists, we're talking about two different things. And if you talk about Barack Obama, trust me, it ain't like Barack Obama got to skate all the way through. He was asked about Reverend Wright. He was asked about all sorts of comments in his past, and he still ended up winning the presidency in large part because he ran a better campaign than John McCain.
He was hardly held to the same standard as George Bush. He admitted in his, Jason, we're talking to Jason Johnson, by the way, senior politics editor for Politic365.com on the Steve Malzberg Show. George Bush, when there was an unnamed accusation in a book, an unattributed source, that he had used cocaine, it was the story. Barack Obama, in his own words, has two books where, in his own words, where he reads the audio version, talking about all the drugs he did. How he would lock the doors of the van to inhale those fumes, baby, and how he wasted his years on drugs. You tell me which media outlet ever addressed that. I'd like to know.
Well, one, it was actually covered by most news outlets. But if you're talking about because everyone talked about his book. But again, if you're going to
No. When he was running, these books were written before his run for the presidency. Where was the coverage and scrutiny of that?
When he ran for president, his books were covered. But again, I want to get back because
you don't want to address this. I see. Okay.
I think it's very important if you speak about what Clarence Thomas was saying, because as an African American and a political intellectual, I also have a real problem with his suggestion, and I think it's whining, and I think it's disingenuous.
The man was technically lynched by the likes of Joe Biden and Ted Kennedy.
He got in trouble. He got in trouble because he sexually harassed someone and got busted.
Really? Yeah. You see, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
He still has a job for life. So what is he complaining about?
Clarence Thomas, to this day, is lambasted by the elites in the media as dumb, doesn't ask questions, can't write anything, doesn't know how to do his job, because he's a black conservative, and the media can't take it.
And the truth of the matter is, look, if you want to say that African Americans who are conservative are somehow mythically and always attacked, fine, I guess people can believe that if that's what they want to believe. But it doesn't appear, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as African American Republicans that I know and my friends, and when I'm at the RNC and when I see people running in different kinds of offices, there are many, many black people who have been successful running for office.
Now you're taking it off the national scene again. I'm talking about national level.
We're talking about a 0.0% sample size. So the election of Barack Obama press hates every black person who's ever run? That doesn't make sense.
Do you remember when Condoleezza Rice had her confirmation hearings and she was treated like garbage, and the cartoons that ran in newspapers portrayed her as Aunt Jemima and sucking up to George W. Bush? Did she deserve that? Was she guilty of sexual harassment too?
We are talking about certain media outlets to paint the entire media in a broad brush. Steve, that would be like comparing
Did you object to that?
Did you object to that? Out there who's out there, and that's not the case.
Did you object to that at the time?
Individual.
Did you object to that at the time?
Of course I did. I don't think anybody should be portrayed as an Aunt Jemima.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that all of the press engages in any type of behavior one way or another. In the end,
well, let me play something. Do we have the? Hold it. Don't go away. I want to. Okay. The Mika Brzezinski cut.
Yeah.
Because the chairman of the South Carolina Democratic Party, Dick Harpootlian, made vulgar remarks about Nikki Haley in 2012, called her Hitler's lover, or the same as Hitler's lover and mistress, and then said she should go back to wherever the hell she came from. And I could play you the cut right now if we could find it. We played it before, and we will, of Mika Brzezinski and everyone on Morning Joe admitting that if this had been a Republican who said this about a person of color, who was a Democrat, they would have led with it. They would have been talking about it all morning, and it would have been the story of the day all over. But because it was a Democrat saying it about a Republican female of ethnic persuasion, not as big a deal. They admit it. You disagree with them?
They can have whatever kind of opinion they want.
So they're wrong too.
Unless Joe Scarborough can represent, just like Clarence
Wasn't
Thomas.
Joe Scarborough.
Clarence
He wasn't
Thomas
there. It was Mika.
Every single African-American Republican, and Joe Scarborough can't speak for the entire media.
Well, no, it wasn't Joe. Here, let's play the bite. Let's play the bite. Go ahead.
So, let me just say, fair enough. That if a Republican did this, we'd be covering it like crazy. So we're covering it because it was wrong, and those statements were absolutely wrong. I don't care what he meant. He should just say he regrets it. Agreed? Anyone disagree?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a good man, but he has a history of making floppy remarks, and
That's
he should probably
a gaffe at
say
best.
something different.
Yeah, and say that.
Yeah.
How about just, I'm really sorry. That was the wrong choice of words, and I am so sorry.
Betty says it today.
Yeah.
I bet he does.
I think he might.
But you're right, Mika. Role play that. Flip the roles.
Oh, my Lord. Republican?
The head of the Republican Party in the state of
we would have led with it.
Yeah. We would have
led with it.
That's the entire, that's not Joe. Joe wasn't there. That's the entire liberal cast of his show. Mike Barnacle, the guy from Time Magazine, Mika, admitting that if it were the other way around, that would be big news, baby. But the way this way,
Well, first and foremost, again, I'm speaking in terms of, are we going to generalize the entire press because of the behavior of a certain number of people? Look, the guy made a racist statement. He actually should have been out of a job, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care who you are, if you're a Republican or Democrat. I feel the same thing about the guy in Kansas. I feel the same way about a lot of idiotic things that Joe Biden has said. But at the core, if we get back to this idea that African Americans somehow, and this is something else that I find particularly problematic about what Clarence Thomas says. There are plenty of African Americans who are Republicans who have had positions of influence in the party. And the fact that you happen to have one guy who ends up being president of the United States does not in some shape, way, or form mean that the press is constantly attacking and making it impossible for any black person to run. And I think that if you look at somebody like Colin Powell, if you look at again, he never decided he wanted to run for president, but you look at somebody like J.C. Watts. I mean, J.C. Watts was incredibly loved by the press. But I think the issue is that a guy like Clarence Thomas, because of his own arrogance, and I will say his own arrogance, wants to believe that he's special, and he wants to believe that he's the only African-American Republican in the entire world, and he wants to believe that he's the only African-American Republican who's ever been criticized for anything, rather than taking responsibility for some of his own behavior and his own mistakes.
Wow.
Because the same thing would not be applicable to somebody like Michael Steele, who's not only gone on to be very, very successful, but had a position of national prominence. And Michael Steele wasn't torn down by the media, whatever mythical
Michael Steele had Oreo cookies thrown at him, and worse, while he was running for the Senate in his state. And the media would never report on that.
I'm from Maryland. I lived in Maryland. I remember that being covered. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak for every single media outlet. Trust me, I was there.
All
I
right.
remember seeing that being covered. It was covered in the D.C. media.
Jason, we got to leave it there, my friend. But as always, I thank you for the spirited debate. We'll talk to you again.
Thank you.
All right. Jason Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting. And I love and respect Clarence Thomas to death for what he went through. They tried to get him to bow out, to run away, to hide in shame because they found a woman who said outrageous, in my opinion, outrageous things that were unsubstantiated. It was just her word. A woman who, in my opinion, had an infatuation with this man that was never returned and was out to get him, in my opinion. And despite the fact that she was so sexually harassed, still followed him from job to job because that's how awful a man he was. And they tried, and they tried. And he said, Senators, this is a high-tech lynching. And that's exactly what it was. And we're talking about Joe Biden, Ted Kennedy, and every Democrat on that committee. God bless Clarence Thomas. We're coming back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Last year, over 1 million consumers searched lawyer.com looking for a top lawyer, and our traffic continues to grow dramatically. We now need more top lawyers to cover many market and practice areas. Join now and lock in membership pricing for only $59 per month. We have no contracts and an unconditional money-back guarantee. Call now to receive a special radio-only discount where you can save up to $480. If you're a lawyer and you're looking for quality leads, customers to build your practice, you must call right now. 877-314-2657, 877-314-2657, 877-314-2657. If you're a lawyer looking for leads, you must call this number right now. 877-314-2657, 877-314-2657.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? we'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, we did this earlier in the show. We're going to do it again for you because it's worth seeing twice. And if you missed it, we want you to see it at least once. This is the man, Charles Ramsey, in Cleveland, who helped rescue Amanda Berry and the other two girls who have been captive there for so many years. Let's start with cut number 44.
You heard screaming.
Heard screaming. I meet my McDonald's. I come outside. I see this girl going nuts trying to get out of her house. So I go on the porch.
Okay.
I go on the porch, and she says, "Help me get out. I've been in here a long time." So, you know, I figured it's a domestic violence dispute. So I open the door, and we can't get in that way because how the door is, it's so much that a body can't fit through, only your hand. So we kick the bottom, and she comes out with the little girl, and she says, "Call 911. My name is Amanda Berry."
Just amazing. And listen up to this one. Next cut.
When she told me, it didn't register until I got the call in 911. And I'm like, I'm calling the 911 for Amanda Berry? I thought this girl was dead. You know what I mean? And she got on the phone, and she said, "Yes, this is me." And the detective, Cook, right here, Detective Gregory Cook says, "Charles, do you know who you rescued?"
I want to get this in. Here he talks about how it dawned on him. Next
About 5 minutes after the police got here. See, that girl Amanda told the police, "I ain't just the only ones. It's some more girls up in that house." So they went up there, 30, 40 deep, and when they came out was just astonishing because I thought they were going to come up with nothing. I figured, whoever she was, and like I say, my neighbor, you got some big testicles to pull this off, bro, because we see this dude every day. Every day.
How long have you lived here?
I've been here a year.
Okay.
You see where I'm coming from?
Right.
I barbecue with this dude. We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. And you had no indication that there was anything
bro, not a clue that girl was in that house or anybody else was in there against their will. Because how he is he just comes out to his backyard, plays with the dogs, tinker with his cars and motorcycles, goes back in the house. So he's somebody that you look away because he's not doing nothing but the average stuff. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. There's nothing exciting about him. Well, until the day.
All right, I'm going to get the last cut in here. Real quick, cut 47.
Bro, I knew something was wrong when a little pretty white girl ran into a black man's arms. Something is wrong here. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway.
Charles, thank you very much.
Dead giveaway.
Thank you very much for your time. And
either she homeless or she got problems. That's the only reason why she run to a black man.
Folks, it's been a pleasure. See you tomorrow, God willing, on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.